My name is David McNabb. I'm the Director of EMS Operations here at Sanford Worthington Ambulance. I've been in EMS for a total of 32 years. I've been on the ambulance service for 30 years, and I've been the manager for 26. We provide service to not only the city of Worthington, but the surrounding area and the communities that are around the area. Our service area, which is designated by the state, is about 402 square miles. So we keep plenty busy. We do over 2,000 runs a year. We've got about 26 people on staff right now. We have 9 full-time people, and the rest are made up of casual or part-time staff. Well, we operate on a 24-hour basis. We always have a minimum of one two-person crew. We respond to all the 911s in the immediate area, and then we also do interfacility transfers. We do try to provide as much ALS service, which is advanced life service, as we can. We usually try to match up one paramedic and one EMT. However, there are times where we're just a BLS truck, which is basic life support, which is still very much needed. Our basic life support people can start IVs, do 12 leads, defibrillate, provide airway, a great number of things. There are several different levels of pre-hospital emergency caregivers, starting out with EMR, which is emergency medical responder. That's what a lot of your fire departments have on their rescue squads. The next step up is EMT, emergency medical technician, and they can do a few more things than what the EMR can do. Then the next step is also paramedic, and then they are allowed to do more things with more drugs and a few more advanced things that they can do than the EMT can do. So we have a variety of staff that can do a variety of things.
My name is Danelle Tufson. I've been with Sanford as a full-time EMT for about 7 years. Been an EMT for 12 years, and I also volunteer in Slayton as a EMT. So pretty much we just do, pager goes off, we go to the call wherever it might be and just provide care, whatever it is. I mean, whatever they're needing help with. Normally, starting IVs, and we also do transfers, like Dave said, to Sioux Falls, behavioral health transfers to certain places too. We have gone as far as like Fargo for transfers during the day also. We all can drive, we can all do patient care. So it just kind of depends on whose turn it is, or if somebody feels more comfortable driving and not necessarily doing patient care. But we do have like our ALS calls where the paramedic will take patient care in the back, and then usually the other person, which is normally an EMT, will drive. So challenges of the job, definitely the weather, not knowing if it's going to be a blizzard. Sometimes we go out and we can't even see the front of our truck. But when the 911 comes out, we go. Ice also. And then also just the challenge of not knowing exactly what kind of call we're going to. And when we get there, you know, it's always being on our game. And sometimes, you know, a couple hours later or a couple days later, it might affect you. So just kind of knowing how to deal with calls also, and how to deal with your mental health, and is also challenging, but once you figure it out, it's good.
My name is Darcy Albrecht. I am an EMT with Sanford Ambulance, and I have been in this field for about 18 years. This is the ambulances that Sanford run. They're a Type 3. This is what you'll see very commonly in our cabs, our radio communications, and most of our buttons that we use for turning on lights and all those fun things. If we go to the back here, I can kind of give you a little tour of what we have inside the ambulance. How they're set up. There's going to be a cot in the center. 2 of our rigs are outfitted with auto lifts, so we don't have to break our backs to try and lift the patients anymore. Most of it can just be automatic. You'll commonly see a device like this. This is called the LifePak 15. This is what we will use to get our patients' vitals. And we can also, you know, take a picture of the patient's heart and all kinds of fancy things with this. Most of our cabinets in here have very specific equipment in them. As you'll see, we kind of have things labeled as to where to find them in our rigs. In all of our rigs, we have what we call our go bags. And these are going to be these red bags. This is one of the first things that we want to take in on all the scenes because it has a lot of our equipment that we usually use for most calls. Some of the other things that we do have in the rig that have become more common in most of the ambulances are like our Lucases. So that's the device that we use to assist with mechanical CPR with a patient who is possibly in cardiac arrest. We also have warm fluids, and that will help with any trauma patients. We are always going to start warm fluids on trauma patients. And then like some of the other bags on the bottom, so they're very specific. So our red bag is our cardiac bag, and our blue bag is our peds bag. So if you have a certain type of call that you're going to, you can just grab that bag and you should have everything in it that you kind of need to get going.
So this is the front of the ambulance, this right here. All these buttons control the lights. Mainly all we focus on is these ones right here. And make sure these two are all the way up. This is just all the lights on the ambulance, the sides, the back, the front, and then we turn this on. And then down here controls our siren. So we flip this to wherever we want it to be. So we can flip it over to here. This is a horn. This sometimes we do have to use when people going to a scene, emergent. Sometimes we do lay on the air horn just to hopefully get people to move out of our way, which helps sometimes but doesn't always help. That's right there. This is our radio. This is how we communicate with Nobles County, and also we communicate with our dispatch, which is up front in the ER. So this is the one that we do, the fire EMS. This is our radio we use. We just click it, and then we say Medic 3 to Nobles County, and what we're doing. If we're going en route to a scene, if we're returning from a scene, if we're coming back to the hospital, and then we switch over to here, and this is how we let our dispatch, which is up at the ER, know that we're leaving also or returning, so they can kind of keep track of us.
You know, one of the first things we're going to do once we get a patient is that we will use our life pack, and this has got quite a few options on it. This device will be attached to one of your fingers. This will give you like what we call an SpO2 reading. Essentially, it's reading the oxygen on your hemoglobin in your blood. Okay? Another thing we like to do is grab a blood pressure, which usually every patient we're going to need that from. So we're going to need that around your arm. And then some of the other things we can also do is with this equipment here, and these right here is what we like to capture is a picture of your heart, the electrical activity that your heart is doing. This will tell our medics, because we can run 12 leads with that, what specifically maybe or maybe not be going wrong with your heart at the time. And that can actually help them to improve their care. As you can see, we are actually moving in the ambulance right now, so you can kind of get a feel of what it's like for us. It's not a smooth ride, never has been, but just to give you an idea, we do have bars up on the top, so if we have to grab on just for safety, we can do that. But there's a lot of things that we're also trying to do back here while we're bouncing around. So some of the stuff that we do is going to be try and put in an IV. This is going to be kind of fun sometimes. We try not to do it moving, but we all practice to the point where we can do it moving. And we have more equipment on this side. You know, we're going to grab probably a quick temperature, listen to lung sounds. Got all kinds of fun stuff up here. Listen to lung sounds real quick. There's a lot that actually goes on back here in a very short amount of time. As David was talking earlier about the different levels of care, if you're an EMT, you can do what we call an eye gel for an airway. As a paramedic, you can get a little more advanced and put in a ET tube. And one of the fun things that paramedics get to play with is called a McGrath. And as you can see, that's what it's like walking when it's moving. You get really good core muscles after a while. So, just to show you how this will go real quick. And like I said before, there's certain bags for certain calls that we'll get out, because you might be called out for one thing, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's what it is when you get there. So this is our fun favorite little toy. Pulled it out. There's actually a little monitor screen right here. There's a cover that goes on, and when we go to put in airways, can you see that screen? You can see where my hand is in front of it. That's how we actually visualize putting in an ET tube to make sure it's in the correct spot. And then we have some other protocols that we follow with that too, but it's one of the funner toys that paramedics get to use. If you're BLS, which is a basic life support individual trained, or if you're ALS, which is advanced life support. So with the advanced life support, obviously, like David mentioned earlier, they can do a few more things, give a few more drugs. Some of the neater aspects of that is the cardiology level, where we can read 12 leads and administer drugs to either speed up the heart or slow down the heart, or restart it. If you have a good driver and they say, hey, I'm taking a right or I'm taking a left, they can kind of let you know, and you can either lean into it, lean out of it, or whatever you need to do. You'll learn to lean into some of this stuff, or sometimes they have to put on the brakes real fast. But for the most part, we don't try to be standing and moving around too much. I mean, technically, it'd be more ideal to be buckled in. But if you're doing active CPR on someone, that's not really a reality. But that is also where the Lucas comes into play. The Lucas we can put on, it can run autonomously, and it actually does better compressions than a human can do. The staying calm part definitely comes with experience. And if you start out in this field and, you know, I guarantee you the first time you see a car accident, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, my heart's going and all that stuff. But as you see more, you learn how to handle situations and become more calm. And, you know, like some of the people that have been with us for a while, myself, Danelle, Dave, you know, it takes a lot for us to get excited about something. But I can guarantee you, if you see us excited, you should be excited too.
The other part of why I would like to see more and more people consider EMS as a career, it's also a great starting point and a stepping stone. If you're not sure if you want to be in the medical field, it's a great place to start as an EMR, as an EMT. And as you develop and you excel, you might even go further. We actually have had people here that started out as EMRs or EMTs, and they've actually went all the way to be a physician. We have nurse practitioners out there, physician's assistants. Maybe you go EMT to paramedic, and then you decide you want to work RN. So it's a great way to at least get out there, get your feet wet, and find out if you really like medical care or not.
Well, initially I started out in law enforcement, so I was EMR and then had gotten my EMT. I did that as it would be a fun side job. And eventually I went out of law enforcement, and then I joined with Sanford full-time, and I have loved it ever since.
Oh, originally I grew up on the farm. I'm still on the farm. I had a couple of different jobs at that time. Just felt that they weren't that fulfilling. This job has become something that I always kind of thought about doing, and once I was given the opportunity, I found that I really liked it. So EMS is not a job cut out for everybody, but it can be a very fulfilling job. We do have a lot of teamwork that goes on. It's never just a one-person job. You always have to have teamwork. We've got a very good crew. What we try to do is, like I say, we try to work together with all of the local rescue squads in the area. It's a good team building thing with them as well, knowing that they can be the first at the scene, and then we show up and we can get there because of the distance. We have a very good working relationship with all of those departments, as well as with the local law enforcement agencies, which show up most of the time to the medicals or the accident calls.
Mainly I've always been interested in the medical field. I always wanted to be a nurse, grew up with a mom that was a nurse, and I guess I've just always wanted to help people out, and so I decided to do it.
From a personal standpoint, I think it more to me is when you see the people that you've helped after the fact and their families, and they're thankful that you know, their family member is still with us today, or, you know, you helped them on one of their worst days and now everything's okay. That gratification that you get of, hey, I seen that person, they had a bad accident and now they're up walking around. That is really kind of amazing sometimes.
Um, I've had a lot of good calls. It's just mainly, I think, um, helping people and for them to just see you out in the town and just remembering that you were there, thanking you, sending cards in the mail to the hospital, just doing your best, going and helping people and hoping you leave an impression on them. I kind of hold it where I treat everybody as family. If somebody were to take care of my kids or take care of my grandma, I just want to provide the best care that I can and treat them like they are my family. And I think even when having your challenging days, we still are here for a reason. They say it's a calling. I truly, honestly feel like it is. Just to be able to go help people and to provide that care, and it's what keeps us coming back. You don't know, every day that you come to work, you don't know what call you're gonna have. The pager goes off, you might be able to go save somebody's life. And so that's kind of just what keeps us coming back.
I would just like to say that nationwide there's a true need for pre-hospital emergency caregivers. Every ambulance service, every rescue squad, everybody is really hurting. It can be a very fulfilling career. It's not for everybody, but for those who do find out that they like it, I would really implore them to go into it and do as much as they can. We're fortunate enough to have some very interested staff here too that are at one level and they're excelling to go to the next level. So we have some EMRs that are going to EMT, we have some EMTs that are going to paramedic. There are a lot of different ways you can gain your knowledge and your certifications and your licensure. Sanford has a very robust program.